I am so excited to introduce my guest who's going to talk about this horrific case you're not going to want to miss involving the Attorney General. And with that, I'd like to invite my guest here, the Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, Charlie LeDuff. Well, I'm glad to have you on. I've known you for many years. You are a great sense of humor, and also what an investigative journalist. I don't think there's one in Michigan that is as good in really going after stories that are important that nobody will go after. And this story that we're going to talk about today is one of those stories, an unbelievable story involving the Attorney General and her good friend, who I also believe was the treasurer of the Democrat Party, big donor to Governor Whitmer. So it's just not some, anonymous person she doesn't have a relationship with. This is a powerful woman ensconced in the Democrat Party and involved with horrific, terrible corruption. I know you were the one that broke the story, and it's been ignored until recently when they couldn't stop themselves when I think it was the Kent County prosecutor finally brought charges after the Attorney General let it languish. Mm-hmm. But why don't you bring us up to speed?
That's a lot. Okay.
That is a lot.
So let's start off by saying, so I don't have to say it a million times, allegedly, right? Because we're in court now. We're in a lot of courtrooms. So allegedly, this all began in the nursing homes during COVID. And we didn't ever get an answer. We didn't get the proper data. We never got the acknowledgement that that was bogus science, purchased bogus science, and we could never get the truth, which we're still working on.
Accurate numbers of how many died, and how many were in nursing homes and assisted living, all those.
And why you didn't count them. Let me just start here for a second, okay? Because I'm seething about it. We shut down society in 2020. We didn't know, so we all chipped in. Okay, we shut it down. Week later, Dave the garbage man's not dead, and the kid seems fine. And who was dying? Old people in the nursing home specifically. So we kept doing this, saying, let's keep the kids home, because if they get the bug and they go see grandma, then grandma's gonna die, right? And grandma was dying, that's fact. So what does this numbskull up in the governor's office do? Here's the science. Let's take sick old people and put them in a building with healthy old people and separate them with the shower curtain. There's your idea. Well, then we now know it because I've gotten the documents. You're starting to cover up the numbers. You're obfuscating, right? You're changing who you're counting and where. Okay, we need an investigation. Numbskull in the Attorney General's office, Dana Nessel, refuses to. She says, we're comparing apples to oranges. Apples to oranges. These are human beings. We're not apples and we're not oranges. We're either alive or we're not. Both of their bestie, their wine buddy, the treasurer for the entire party, handling millions of dollars. In her day job, she's a lawyer, slip and fall lawyer. She becomes a conservator for a brain-damaged old woman in an assisted living facility. For shorthand, we'll call it a nursing home. The woman was in a car accident, hit her head, and the reason she wore a helmet was whenever she got up to use her walker, she'd fall down. This is that woman. So I get a whistleblower. He's the head of this facility where she's living. Hey, this really weird, big, wide insurance scam was going on through the treasurer, Miss Tracy Kornack. She's saying her daughter is working here, providing aid to this woman, but there's no record of her daughter ever popping in, and State Farm won't fulfill it. So new documents have been made, allegedly by Miss Kornack, using another person's template, another company. And we got the check, but it's not service we provided, to which Kornack texted the director, keep 10% and give me the rest, the old 10% for the big guy. Now consider what she's asking the man to do. Your company gets a check, you cashed it, that should be in the bank, but somehow it went to you. You see, encouraging got to commit fraud.
And this one, for those who don't know, the conservator is a person who's appointed, usually by the courts, to manage this person's finances, to make sure they're taken care of, to make sure that they're not ripped off. Mm-hmm. And then this is what we get instead.
Yeah, and it's important to say, because it took me a while to understand it. There's the conservator, which is, take care of the bills. There's the guardian, usurps the conservator. This is like where you sleep, your medicine, right? What the temperature in your room will be. You're looking after everything. So we published this story like, what is this insurance fraud? Is this some kind of embezzlement scheme by the treasurer of the Democrat. What is this? Nothing really comes of it. So it's I go on Tucker Carlson with it, believe it or not. And it becomes a thing, and then it disappears. So about a year and a quarter later, Freedom of Information Act, whatever happened with that Cornack case, comes back, and what I get is this. Dana Nessel's office, her underlings, constructed what's called an ethical firewall. Anything to do with Cornack, Nessel's friend, who, by the way, Nessel hired Cornack to be on her transition team when she took over the Attorney General's office. So she was like an employee in there. Nessel's not to know anything, not to speak about it. If she asked, nothing, no files, no nothing. Boom. Not only were they talking, Nessel was pressuring her staff to get Cornack the open and active case on Cornack before it was closed. Jumped the firewall. That's a big problem. And then it just went away.
Which is not how stories, how reporters, how papers are to pursue the truth. You pursue the truth based upon looking for the truth. In the legislature, I remember people saying, well, if this person put in the best bill in the world, we wouldn't support it because we don't like the person. I'd say, well, I don't care about the person. I've supported stuff that Democrats who've attacked me put in because it was a good bill. If it's the truth, if you're in pursuit of the truth, that should be the end-all, be-all for the media. It shouldn't be about, well, do we like the guy? Well, it makes a damn bit of difference whether you like the guy. Is he telling the truth? Obviously, you were going down the path to the truth.
It's an old lady.
And yeah, I mean, the very thing that the media should be doing, exposing corruption among the high and mighty. Where are they going wrong? And such a horrific case from, like you say, allegedly, but there's a lot of threads that are all pointing in that direction.
Oh, there's a lot of charges, bro.
So yes, I'm sorry, continue.
You forgot one thing. There's a responsibility among us all to protect the weakest among us, the children and the infirm and the old and the sick. That still applies, man. That's beyond whether you have a political seat or I'm a reporter, right? You have a responsibility to stop and help somebody. And this is a brain-damaged old lady. You can see what's happening, and boom, it stops. So, NoBSNewsHour.com, MichiganEnjoyer.com. That's where you can find me. I'm moving on. I don't need this. I made my fortune. You know what I mean? I own my house. I'm not giving up. 3 years later, it took 3 more years, the old woman died. Then it starts to come out. Okay, Cornack now has to put the bill of sale, the goods, the estate, the whole thing, got to give it to probate. Except, the old guy at the water cooler, the old small-town courthouse, that judge, aged out, retired. So there's no rubber stamping going out. Now there's a new judge. And she's looking at this going, no. Where's the receipts? Where's the receipts? Oh, ma'am, looks like you made a very handsome living off of this woman. No. Then it comes around because the Kent County prosecutor, after I did my story, they opened up an abuse.
Finally.
Yeah. Well, right after I'm showing the door, right after Nessel tells her staff to give the case over, a couple weeks later, he pops in. So they're looking at it for a year, and it takes forever. It takes 2 years. It takes 3 years. But they come with Adult Protective Services, and the reports that I got, remember, we could have helped the old lady. We could have saved her money. Her son is a diagnosed senior citizen, paranoid schizophrenic. So his money's in jeopardy. We don't know where his trust is. It could have been stopped, but it wasn't. But we finally get there, and when you're reading these reports, Cornack, Nessel's buddy, and remember, Nessel likes to put out tweets, we protect the elderly. Oh yeah, just Google it. Oh, it's sickening. Sick. You're sick. You're sick, madam. You read these Adult Protective Service reports, being vindictive to the old woman because the old woman wants her out of even the woman wearing a helmet knows what's going on. So light bulbs get taken out of her room. The old woman likes to sit up with the light on. Light bulbs are removed. The thermostat is taped down. The light switch is taped. When Adult Protective Services comes in, this is their words, not mine. Cornack, the treasurer, leaves her phone on, recording the conversation. Illegal.
It's illegal. Yeah.
Okay.
Wiretapping.
Now Cornack is saying, this is during my initial investigation, I know I'm just the conservator, but I get to do all this. I get to bill her for all of this nonsense as a guardian as well at $250 an hour because I have power of attorney. She signed her life over to me, power of attorney. And we have a contract. Never mind that the woman's been ruled incapacitated and can't sign a contract. The power of attorney, the attorney is called the agent, right? And the agent may not sign as a witness the turning over of the estate to the agent.
Makes sense.
Cornax signed her own thing.
She's an attorney. She knows you can't do that.
Right. And the other witness was an old blind woman.
Not suspicious at all, any of this, for an attorney general to go.
Everybody
That's normal,
kicked it, Jim.
normal behavior.
Everybody kicked it. Nessel kicked it. Her people kicked it. Michigan State Police, where were you? The Attorney Grievance Commission. This went to the Attorney Grievance Commission. Normally they wrap those things up in 6 months. This was almost 3 years, and they could find nothing. Nobody ever called the guy that gave me the documents, the director of the nursing home. Nobody ever called him.
The levels of protection for the average person that's supposed to be the Attorney Grievance Commission, we're one of the few states that you can't find out what was the grievance about. And unless they actually find some wrongdoing, you will never know what these cases are about. In other states, the attorney, if they have a grievance filed, it's public knowledge. So you never know if, like in this case, could have been, they're looking at this is the guiltiest woman we've ever seen as an attorney, but just bury the story. The attorney general says, hey, this is a good buddy of mine. I mean, this is a powerful Democrat in the Democrat Party, big donor, and just buries the story. And it just seems like there's nothing that can unearth this deep state garbage in this state of Michigan, the least transparent state in the nation, and try to help little people. What you were doing is trying to help this lady, been nice while she was alive to been able to fix this problem, not after she's dead. But even that, years and years later, after this woman has had all of this taken from her, and everyone's sitting on their hands or turning the blind eye, probably because she's powerful. And that's one of the big things you see in this society. You're the big, powerful, connected person, as she certainly was. And then everyone is fearful of going after you. And
That's right.
Then you have victims.
I know what's going on in there. It's not the first rodeo with judges and lawyers. This is straight from inside the Attorney Grievance Commission. We're not touching Nessel or Cornack. Too hot.
Oh, yeah.
Too
believe
powerful.
I believe it.
Whoa. Oh, and let's not go deep state here. Absolutely not. There's no deep state. The system doesn't need to be rejiggered. What's going on is society is corrupt. The people with their hands driving this beautiful system that we built, right? Beautiful system. Checks, balances. You're corrupt. You're driving it off a cliff. We need to get you out. We need bureaucrats. That's the deep state, you know what I mean? But we need ones that do their job. We need ones when the dirt comes through, we're tracking that it's clean dirt, not poison dirt, and then you didn't put that in a playground where kids in the city play. To me, best system in the world, best country that ever existed, never been perfect. We haven't got to greatness yet. And this is the reason why.
Well, there's
Or we can just call it deep state for shorthand.
for me, that the judges can have complaints filed and it's hidden, the attorneys can have complaints filed and they're hidden. I think that's something I've tried to reform since I began and have not had any progress from that. In fact, I wanted to say that Michigan could be like the majority of states that joining the bar is voluntary. So you have to join the bar in Michigan. You have to support this entire apparatus. Even if you think as an attorney it's against your interests, you still have to do it. So I think there's a lot of reform that can happen in the state of Michigan. But you're also correct that if you have somebody who's ethical in these positions, you really don't even have to have layers of concern and oversight if you got a good person. But people come and go. And this case, we're going to find out, I'm sure. Where's the prosecution at currently with Kent County?
Preliminary exam was just a couple weeks ago, and there was 3 charges. One was embezzlement of a vulnerable adult, 50 to 100,000. They're in sort of silos, right? Another felony to that effect of, I think, between 10 and 20,000, so 2 different envelopes. Then false pretenses, which is that insurance deal. And the judge added another one, which was false pretenses between more than $50,000, I believe. So that there's a raft of them. And then probate is, they're just trying to figure out. The woman got a $250,000 settlement for the auto accident. Where's the deposit slip?
So it sounds like they're doing the job that Dana Nessel did not do. Mm-hmm. That they're really pursuing this. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, there's a lot transcending even this case with probate. Ruth Johnson and I have been working on this almost since the time we got in office. Yeah. And Michigan is absolutely one of the most corrupt in terms of probate.
Okay, first of all, why are we shoving old people in a COVID wing? And then the governor's lying, we weren't doing it. Yeah, you were. You know that. We've talked.
Oh, it's a misdemeanor if you didn't do it. It was a mystery in her executive order. You had to. She had a system set up that if you weren't at 80% capacity,
you had to build one.
You had or send it to one of these the hub. And if you didn't do all this, it's a misdemeanor.
Okay,
and
no.
she said, well, they didn't have to.
Well, they did.
Yeah,
they did because a hub was designed to take COVID people, and the hubs had healthy people in there. So there's a lie. Let's stop it, right? So then you get into that. Then you get into the Constitution, the Executive Powers Act of 1945. Okay, so you're a reporter. You're like, whoa, wow, okay. Then all of a sudden, you're doing this Cornack thing and this lady in the helmet, and you're like, assisted living. Okay, what? Oh, probate. What? So as a reporter, you better be a quick study about a lot of stuff. You better stay up late, right? And all of a sudden, God bless you. There's so many people out there. There's a group. I call them the groupies. They are battlers. You know them. I know you see that every time you're holding a session on this, they're in there, paper, right? And they're right. And they want things changed. And I don't know how we get them changed. You can't get them changed. Ruth can't get them, But it's true what they say. And it starts to tear your heart out.
Judiciary Committee held a hearing in Oakland County. It was kind of unique that Ruth had to trade a lot of things to make that hearing happen. And everyone on the committee said it was the most impactful hearing that they had in that 2 years of judiciary. And it was what was happening with the probate courts. And it was heartbreaking how these conservators would go after the people who had the money, get the family away, keep the family away, and just take the money. Yeah. And it was just horrific testimony.
The Cornack one. This is the one everybody can see. So that's how I get to meet all the people. Because, holy hell, you hit high and you hit it. I go, yeah. So now I say, take it and run. Do what you can. But that can't be my sole reason. There's so much to do.
It doesn't have to be, because Ruth has been trying desperately before she leaves office at the end of the year to get that probate package through. And there's all of these interests, moneyed interests, that have stopped it all the way through. What a difference it would make in cases like this if you had that system opened up, the transparency, all the stuff that you were running up against, where they're building these brick walls all the way around, and the system not cooperating when you're trying to get to the bottom of it. It's horrifying. And you don't even know what to tell people about, well, how do you prepare for this? I mean, what kind of a lawyer can you get in advance to make sure that if you have assets, the system isn't going to have the judge picking the buddies that are going to take your money, and there's nothing you could do about it. And that we had testimony over and over of that happening.
Yeah, get a trust.
But I mean, a lot of people don't really have money that, maybe their money's tied up in their home, and they don't even have the education to go get a trust.
Put it in a trust.
But you're right. And make sure you have a durable financial and medical power of attorney, because at least you give that some protection. If you don't have anything, it's going to go to probate, and the judge is going to make the call.
When I got mine, it's about $800. I don't know what it is now. It's worth the money.
It is worth the money.
Do not be hanging out. Well, that's the thing as well. It's like the elderly. What else did we learn in COVID? How fetid these nursing homes are, and they're funded with federal dollars, our dollars. And there's the rehabilitative wing. That's the front of the house. You broke your hip and you're in the nursing, right? Then you go home. The back of the house is for people that don't have any money to live and they're old. Costs about $15,000 a month, I think, and
minimum,
right? And you can't have your own room. So each room's like
four to a room. Medicaid. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. How come we're not fixing that? Because what we all started to learn from all the reporters would do it. CMS reports the inspections during COVID. You lost Miss COVID infected and you put her in the healthy wing. You took 2 healthy guys and you put them over there. And the porter is the same guy going there.
It's vile. During that whole process, I was talking to guys that were bringing patients in an ambulance, or guys that were actually picking up patients that were dead. And they said that they can't be a party to this because they would bring in a healthy patient, and that patient would be put in with COVID patients, and until they processed them through, and then we get sick and die. And just like that MMA fighter, I don't know if you remember that case, because he had COVID and they didn't know where to put him. He had mental issues. They put him with a 92-year-old veteran.
Oh, this one?
And, yeah, he set him up and beat the hell out of him.
That old man ended up dying.
2 weeks later died. I put in a bill at that time that the families can put in a video camera in for their loved ones. We vetted that thing for months and months. We actually got the Nursing Home Association to not oppose it because we made so many changes and they knew it had a lot of momentum. And we got it through, I think, almost unanimous through the Senate, big numbers through the House. It went to the governor, and the governor pocket vetoed it. I mean, she didn't want to sign a veto. She just put it in her pocket until the time ran out and pocket vetoed it. And all these years later, she will not tell anyone why. I put that bill in last cycle. I put it in again. The Democrats won't run it. I hear the unions don't want it, but I'll tell you what, if you're an elderly person, when I go and talk to elderly people, and I talk to them about this issue, that's the number one issue, because they're like in a walker or wheelchair. They're like, I could be there any day. And I want my family to be able to watch me. And you can go on and watch thousands, literally, of film footage on YouTube and other channels of where they had hidden videos, or I think it's 16 states you could legally put them in, where they're watching this horrific abuse. And Michigan is a state you can't do that. The nursing homes don't allow you to by contract, and it's very hard to get it into court when you even have the proof. So there's everything from the probate to what's happening with these the nursing homes, not being able to monitor your loved ones. There's a lot that's got to be done, but thank God we got Charlie LeDuff.
Yeah, I was like, come on, Jim, keep it light.
Here in the state of Michigan.
Well, just quick note, we let it go, huh?
Well, we have come to the end of our time, but we definitely will have you back. I'm sure you're going to be busting open some more stories going forward, and I'm just excited to have the opportunity to talk to you. Consider you one of, if not the best reporter in the state of Michigan. You break the stories like nobody else. So thank you for being on the show, and we'll do it again.
Okay.